Welcome to SVG-TV News for Friday, June 4th, 2021. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. The Major Crimes Unit of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force has launched an investigation into the disappearance of some firearms and ammunition from the armory at the Georgetown Police Station. According to the Police Public Relations Department, the investigation was ordered by Commissioner of Police Colin John immediately after the discovery was made. No further information was, however, provided as to when the firearms and ammunition were discovered missing and how many. Our news team reached out to Commissioner John. However, he said he cannot comment further on the matter as it is a criminal investigation. 1 month after he escaped from the farm of the Bilal Correctional Facility, Owen Small is now back behind bars. Superintendent of Prisons Timothy Hazelwood told SVGTV News via a telephone interview that Small, who is from Camden Park, was brought into the Kittels police station by a friend.
Give himself up. There's somebody from the village of Camden Park brought him to Kittels police station yesterday's date at 3:15 p.m. for him, and he had seen us in the mountains, and in Spring Mountain and Rose Hall Mountain. He did most of his survival there in Spring Mountain and Rose Hall Mountain. Then he walked the ridges, come straight over to Camden Park, which is in the vicinity of his residence. But he is in good spirit. He doesn't feel like a hero, but he was just afraid of coming in because he thinks that certain things would have been done.
Small was serving a 2-year sentence for burglary and 3 months for damage to property. His earliest time for release was May 2022, but due to his escape, he has lengthened his time in prison and is expected to be charged for the offense of escaping lawful custody this weekend.
According to the law, the sentence that he was doing was ceased temporarily until his recapture. So between that month, he spent about a month and today's the 4th. So he spent about a month and 2 days out. So that will be added back to his sentence. So his sentence will resume on the day that he was recaptured. He will be charged over this weekend and should be appearing on court by Monday.
Meanwhile, the prison superintendent said that security at the Bilal facility has been tightened, including at the farm.
Well, there is a cut down on the amount of prisoners who have been sent on the farm and an increase in the security. Full accountability and vision of all prisoners. So it's because the farm is an open area and it's not really secure, right? The possibility of a prisoner running off and come back is likely, in a sense of other persons, civilians will bring stuff on the farm, hoping that the prisoner can collect it and get it in, throw it over the fence for other inmates. So yeah, we tighten up security in respect to that aspect, and it has been fruitful so far.
The superintendent thanked all Vincentians for their patience and cooperation, knowing that a prisoner was on the loose. In news now on COVID-19, we hear that 6 new positive cases were reported from 131 samples processed on Wednesday, June 2nd, 2021, resulting in a positivity rate of 4.6%. The National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, said 4 new recoveries were noted over the reporting period. 208 cases are currently active and 12 persons with COVID-19 have died. 2 2,065 cases of COVID-19 and 1,845 recoveries have been recorded in St. Vincent and the Grenadines since March 2020. The public is urged to continue to use masks, sanitize, physically distance, and get vaccinated to reduce the spread of COVID-19 here in SVG. And infectious disease specialist and member of the SVG COVID-19 task force, Dr. Gerald Thompson, said despite best efforts, citizens, especially those in shelters, are refusing to get tested in order to determine whether they may be positive for COVID-19.
Our shelters, we've had 54 cases. In a church, we had 7 cases, one church. But in the shelters, there's been a serious problem. People are refusing to be tested. The amount of testing has plummeted because people are saying they have been told to refuse the test.
Dr. Thompson said he believes that the cases recorded in the shelters can be more.
These 54 cases, we believe, is but the tip of the iceberg, where persons are congregated together, where they may not be wearing masks as frequently as they should, in a proper way that they should. There are far more cases and we're not able to pick it up.
The infectious disease specialist said when persons refuse to be tested, they hamper the Ministry of Health's ability to function effectively.
Public health point of view, we do not have the tools to be able to make the decisions as regards where to deploy services or exactly how things should be done. And efforts are being made to take back that whole process in hand so that we have some control over people's public health, over the public health of the nation. Persons, I don't believe, should have the choice as part of their fundamental freedom to infect somebody else and ultimately possibly kill that other person.
With the gradual increase in the number of active cases on island and vocal displeasure from Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves on what he termed as weak policing of the COVID-19 protocols by the RSVG police force, Commissioner of Police Colin John told SVGTV News today via a telephone interview that his officers have taken measures to ensure protocols are strictly adhered to, including meeting with various proprietors to ensure they follow the rules and regulations.
Spoken to several business houses and informed them that we will be stepping up in terms of our enforcement of the COVID protocols. Some of those business houses, their liquor license permit them up until 10 p.m. and they are going beyond that time, so we are being more rigid in ensuring that they close at the stipulated time. So these are two of the measures.
Calling in on NBC Radio today from Cuba, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves further appealed to Vincentians to adhere to the COVID-19 protocols to stem the spread of the virus on island. The Prime Minister noted that he has spoken with the Commissioner of Police to ensure his officers tightened up on the enforcement of the COVID-19 protocols.
For our health, the economy, for our society, and for our security. All of those things. I reiterate that very much, and I make the plug again for the observance of all the protocols, including the mask wearing, the physical distancing, the hand sanitizing, and make the plea also again for the vaccine, for the persons to take the vaccine. They're all tools in the toolbox.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines has seen a noticeable increase in the number of confirmed cases on island with 208 active cases. In some weather report now, we hear that unstable conditions associated with a tropical wave is currently affecting St. Vincent and the Grenadines and other South Caribbean islands. The SVG Met Service says shower activity could increase this evening with gusty conditions near moderate to occasional heavy showers and isolated thunderstorm. Residents and motorists are asked to exercise caution in areas with rain-soaked ash and be alert near rivers and streams. As bad weather approaches and 3 local fishermen still missing at sea, some of their colleagues braved the rainy conditions today in search of their colleagues. The search party, however, returned on land empty-handed. President of the National Fisher Folk Association, Winsbert Harry, was part of the search party, and he told our news team via a telephone interview that the waters were too rough, so they had to return early.
We went looking for the missing fishermen today, but some fishers did not make the journey because of the approaching tropical wave that are threatening the country. But me, Mr. McGregor, and Mr. Jack still journey out. I reach up about, say, 30 to 40 miles into the northeast, eastern side of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But the tide and the current are too strong for the kind of boats that we are in. It's taking us too far from away, and our gas was getting low, so we had to reabound and head back to shore. And I just praying to the Almighty God that the fishers are still out there. They are nowhere close in the St. Vincent water anymore, because today is 4 days, and the way I left the current and the way how the seawater is really acting up today, I think it's very difficult right now for us in the smaller boats to do a search and rescue. I think it might mean search and rescue by air now, and the bigger fleet, like the bigger Coast Guard and them, that they could carry out the search and rescue.
The missing fishermen are Lennox Phillips, also known as Grand Charge, Angus Webb, also known as Pharaoh, and Bernard Dublin, known as Butters. The men left on Tuesday morning to fish and have returned to shore returned to shore. Their families are worried about their safety. Meanwhile, the president of the National Fishermen Organization, Winsbert Harry, wants the authorities to start reissuing fishermen identification cards. Harry said that the issuing of identification cards for fishermen was cancelled more than 5 years now, and he has been lobbying to have them reissued, but to no avail. He said when persons are missing at sea, the cards help with identification, especially in other places.
Appeal to the government as well to see how best they could introduce our fisherman ID card. Is very necessary and it's very needed for our fishers, because when our fishers find ourselves in difficulty, we have something we could pass on to even a passing ship to the other country authority. I mean, begging it, I'm appealing again, I'm using this opportunity again and appealing to the minister. Please issue the fisherman ID card to the fishers of St. Vincent and Grenadines. It's been 6 years now, and we've been keep asking.
Harry, who recently experienced a close death situation at sea, said that fishermen also need to be properly equipped while at sea, and made an appeal for the government to assist them in this regard.
And we need to up the game and up the standard in terms of our fishing equipment. So fishers will be aware, and to the equipments that are there for the fisher folks, I think that they need to be handed over to the fisher folks, that the fisher folks' life will be better, and when they leave the home, because they could see the dramatize of both wife and son of these missing fishermen. I was in it and I know how it is, and I think it's a very hard road right now, the position they're in. So I'm just appealing to the authorities, please put the interests of the fisher folks at heart. Please assist the fisher folks in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
An update now on Lasso Frere volcano. New lead monitoring scientist Lloyd Lynch on radio today said the current pattern of the volcano appears to indicate that it is entering a period of repose or rest. He, however, noted that there are still other factors that must be taken into consideration.
Of seismic activity remains pretty much the same. We have had a few volcano tectonic earthquakes, very small ones, and LP, long period earthquakes. Why we say it's going into repose is that the events are getting fewer and smaller, so they're on the decline. However, that's not a total or a full measure of the volcanic activity, because sometimes the shallow activity can be influenced by deeper events.
Lynch also sought to address concerns that authorities are not acting on the advice of the scientists monitoring the volcano in asking persons to return to their homes in the orange zone and some parts of the red zone. He said that while there may be future activity from La Soufrière, it will most likely be confined to the planks of the volcano, posing a threat mainly to those who may be unfortunate enough to be at the summit. It is for this reason, the scientist says, that persons are advised not to visit the crater, as they could be exposing themselves to a possibility of a horrible death.
We are all of the view that the worst is behind us. The system has depressurized, it has removed a lot of the pressurized stuff. There could be some constriction still, and the system may be building back up some pressure, minor, nowhere close to the sort of pressurization we had before the eruption. So yes, they could be hazardous, they could lead to fatalities, but the effects will be restricted to the higher flanks of the volcano. So the people who are mostly at risk are those who will want to play tourists to go up to the volcano to look at the after effects. And people like myself will have to go back to put instruments.
With the hurricane season now underway and the threat of lahars or mud flows a major concern, the scientist said lahar expert Dr. Victoria Miller will visit the island in the coming weeks to advise authorities on the extent of lahars or mud flows that can be expected.
In the coming weeks, we have a number of experts who will be visiting. I know Dr. Miller from Montserrat, who is a lahar expert, is scheduled to visit, and she probably could look at some of the deposits. I know at the moment she's working in collaboration with some of her colleagues in Miami to do some modeling to see the possible extent of lahar inundation. She's using modeling, so she'll do some scenarios, and that will be used to inform the decisions that the authorities are making. I think the authorities are trying their best to heed the advice that is being given to them and not taking risk with the population.
To ensure that there is no plastic bottle pollution in SVG in the aftermath of the eruption of La Soufrière volcano, which saw thousands of bottled water coming into the country, Solid Waste Manager of the Central Water and Sewage Authority, Winsbot Kwao, is encouraging persons to take advantage of the all-island recycling services. Speaking at a news conference on Wednesday hosted by the CWSA, Kwao said that the huge influx of plastic bottles in the country will have a negative impact on the environment if they are not disposed of properly.
Company set up in St. Vincent called All Islands Recycling. They have been operating since 2013, and they have been buying back bottles since then. So those bottles are now being channeled into that stream for recycling. They indicated that they're able to shred up to 500,000, about 500,000 bottles per week. And they're offering a rate to the public of $2.75 per kilogram, which works out to about $1.25 per pound for plastic bottles. And a number of persons have already been taking advantage of that opportunity. But even prior to the volcanic eruptions, there were already about 350 persons in St. Vincent that were selling bottles to them. But they're saying that the numbers have expanded until, I think this morning, it was reported some 500 persons are taking advantage of that opportunity.
The CWSA Solid Waste Manager said they have been encouraging shelters to separate plastic bottles, noting that through the recycling system, persons can earn an income.
A number of shelters have facilities for storing plastic bottles. So whenever those bottles get to a certain volume that will make it feasible for a truck to take them to the facility, that will be arranged and organized as well. But this program, especially in a time when there's some economic strain, has provided some relief somewhat to some persons who are affected by COVID and even by the volcanic eruptions. A truckload of that of plastic bottles, some 50 bottles can yield up to $1,000 in revenue. And so some folks have been taking advantage of that.
Kwao further noted that since the eruption of the volcano, some of the garbage collection trucks have been unable to go into the red and orange zones to collect garbage because of the road conditions in some communities.
89 shelters were opened initially, public shelters housing just over 4,000 people, mostly schools, churches, community centers, etc. So we had to provide regular garbage collection service for those shelters, and the number of persons sheltered varied widely from about 150 all the way down to 3 persons. So we did an assessment of the shelters and we established a communication channel with the shelter managers so that we can put an adequate waste collection service in place for those shelters. And just to note that we collect for the larger shelters garbage on a daily basis, Monday to Saturday, and for some of the smaller shelters, the collection service is at least once every 2 days, based on their requirements. But if anything changes, if there's a special need, the shelter managers contact us and we're able to respond.
SVG will join other countries around the globe tomorrow, Saturday, June 5th, in observing World Environment Day under the theme Reimagine, Recreate, Restore. World Environment Day or Nation Day is an annual celebration of nature. The day is used as the principal platform to raise awareness on various problems facing the global environment. This year's theme focuses on ecosystem restoration. Communication and Public Education Officer of the National Parks, Rivers and Beaches Authority, Tonique Barrow, outlined some of the challenges facing our world today.
Some of this is plastic pollution, water pollution, air pollution, deforestation, and climate change, among others. Moreover, we use it to really get the attention of the private sector and the public sector and try to initiate public action to protect nature and obviously our earth. So that is really what World Environment Day is all about.
Barrow used the opportunity to encourage persons to work together to help clean up and protect the environment.
And I just want to encourage persons to let us celebrate the occasion of World Environment Day by working together to save our planet from anything that harms it, and let us protect our environment so that our planet can be happier, safer and healthier for us and the future generations to come.
To commemorate World Environment Day here in SVG, the Environment Day Committee will be engaged in different activities virtually due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the impacts of the eruption of La Soufrière volcano.
So what we're doing, we're going virtually, and we're going to be sharing different interviews with different persons who are involved in ecosystem restoration. Also those who will talk about how the pandemic and how the volcanic eruption has impacted our ecosystem, and we're going to shed some light on what is presently happening in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and try to educate ourselves as to when the time comes, what the public can do or what we can do to really revive and to restore the ecosystem. So we're going to be sharing different postings and videos and interviews, and we're asking persons to just log into our Facebook platform and share and read and try to educate yourself on what is really happening as it pertains to our ecosystem and what you can do to really protect our environment and obviously protect these important ecosystems.
The National Environment Day Commemoration Committee consists of the Forestry Services, the Fisheries Division, Public Health Department, the Ministry of Tourism, Caribbean Youth Environment Network, Sustainable Environment, and the National Parks, Rivers and Beaches Authority. As part of the global activities for World Environment Day, this year there will be the official unveiling of the United Nations Decade on Ecosystem Restoration, which is a 10-year plan that will make the authorities think on the path of stopping the degradation of the ecosystem. Shatabele and Fitzhugh are communities in the orange zone on the leeward side of the island that cannot be reoccupied as yet, as advised by the authorities. Our news team recently paid a visit to the communities and noticed a number of residents who did not leave and others who have returned to clean. One resident who did not leave is counting his blessings and is grateful for the financial support that will be offered by the government.
Before the eruption of the volcano, we make sure we fill up some water, we get foods and everything. But that is not enough still because, we need... Look, I lose my animals then. I lose some pigs, I lose my pig farm, it break down. And nobody do come and check us. So I don't know what's going on. That just only for just a start. $500 is just for start. Because I know I lose about it could be about say nearly $5,000 in my animals, in pigs, and you roof everything drop in. I can't help myself right now.
The North Leeward resident said that he does not regret not leaving his property as he was able to secure some of his animals.
Because I don't want nobody to go and break in house. I watch a lot of people's house in Fitzhugh. Because as my neighbor there, we watch for one another. When he's there, I watch for him and everything. So make sure everything goes smooth and nice. Well, police come around. Police just patrol. That one thing. I can't give nobody name, them patrol. They patrol through the village and everything. Make sure see everything go good. But some people come with trucks and things and take people animals here. Because I do home and see truck come and take animals. And the people in the area say get any blame. People get blame who say well, people them who stay back, take the animals, but
the eruption of the volcano is said to have affected the enrollment of persons in the Youth and Adults Training for Employment Program, commonly known as YATES. This is according to World Bank's Coordinator for Human Development Services Delivery, Maureen Webb. The World Bank is the sole funding agency for the YATES program here in SVG. Webb noted that because of the displacement of persons from the red and orange zones, the Georgetown Training Center will not be used this year for the program.
We clearly have less, like about 40 spaces less. But what we're doing with this program though is that anyone who is in a shelter who has to go to a particular location, we will increase the stipend for them because they may be traveling further than usual to get to the center that they're going to. So that's one of the things we're doing to address that particular issue. Yeah, because we actually have three private providers, one in North Union, and that's going to give us some numbers of people who are in and around Georgetown who can't access the Georgetown Center itself. So that will help us.
The YATES program started in early 2020 and to date more than 400 persons have benefited from skills training. The World Bank project coordinator noted that they had to revamp as they noted a high dropout rate.
So we have improved certain things. When we started out the program, we had a 42% dropout rate. Last cohort we had a 15% dropout rate. So that underscores. When our participants go to the internship sites, that's where it's really awesome. Because the recommendations about how well behaved they are, how focused they are. And when we had problems initially, we added more to the life skills and how they could cope in difficult situations. That has really helped a lot of people. We also offered a small stipend to those who are parents, because they're coming in the evening, they have a child, they have to leave with somebody, so we give an additional little stipend, so there's no reason for them to miss the classes because of child care. And it usually impacts particularly on women, because they tend to not come to things because they have other care responsibilities. So I think we're doing really, it's impactful. It may not be building bridges, but it's actually building people's lives.
Weber said at the end of the program, they are hoping to provide skills training for about 1,000 Vincentians and encourage interested persons to get registered.
We're going to squeeze 2 more cohorts in. We have 1 year left of the project, so we're going to do our best to get as many young persons in the next 2 cohorts. This is a smaller grouping because we don't have Georgetown fully operational yet. The objective is the number of people, yes, but even more important, if the real outcome is that persons who normally were excluded have had an opportunity to get training, opportunity to practice at work, and maybe even get into the employment labor force actively, then I think we've met our mission accomplished.